morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yep.
Yeah. Seeking the blessings of His Holiness, Jagadguru Sri Shivratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji, I welcome all of you to this webinar titled COVID-19 Immunization and Home Isolation Tips and Tricks. I take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest for today's webinar, Dr. Kushala Pasa, Director Academics, JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
I also welcome our respected principal, Ravindra sir, Principal, JSS Dental College and Hospital, for this webinar. We welcome you, sir. Dr. Praveen Kulkarni, Associate Professor, Department of Community Medicine, JSS Medical College, is attending or is presenting or sharing his expertise as a resource faculty today. On behalf of JSS Dental College and Hospital, I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Praveen Kulkarni. Welcome, Dr. Praveen. I also welcome all the senior faculty, students, and other participants of JSS Dental College and Hospital, as well as constituent colleges of JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, as well as some of the general public who have shown interest in attending this webinar. I welcome you all to this online webinar on COVID-19 immunization, as well as home isolation procedures. The basic reason why we organized this awareness campaign is like from the last probably 1 week, I've received about more than 50 phone calls, from so many people in rural areas where we have conducted camps. They all asked about home isolation procedures, and many, because the disease has already spread to rural areas, there is a lot of panic, especially among rural areas. And this is the time where we need to create awareness among the general public. And each one of you attending this webinar today should act like chain agents or change agents, and you should give your best possible suggestions or opinions whenever you get a call on phone. So with that background, with the increase in number of COVID-19 cases, and especially so many questions being asked about COVID-19 immunization and its efficacy, and why still people are getting the disease despite vaccination, I have requested Dr. Praveen Kulkarni, who was the principal investigator in the immunogenicity trial, to share his experience as an expert in this webinar, so that most of the questions asked by our own students as well as from other people also will be addressed. So in this background, we organized this webinar, and I request our respected Director Academics, Dr. Kushalappa sir, to give his opening remarks before we start the formal session, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar, Chandru to me, and welcome Dr. Ravindra and Dr. Praveen, one more of my favorites. With the blessings of His Holiness Swamiji, I am happy to be presiding and giving the opening remarks for this webinar. There's a lot of questions being asked by the public. We have also from the Golfing Doctors Association, we have formed a group just to help our members and any of the other public to allay their fears. Everybody seems to be in a panic whenever they have a fever, whether I've got COVID. That is the main thing in their mind. What will happen to me? I cannot be at home. I'll have to go outside and stay. Now, this issue is what Dr. Praveen is going to address. How do you stay at home safely and without getting the others infected? Number one. And number two is the immunization. And thanks to Praveen, I got 3 vaccines. I got the BCG and 2 COVID vaccine, Covishield. So I am fully very, very well protected. But what I'd like to say is, for the general public, there is a lot of panic, and we doctors or medical health personnel, we are the ones who are supposed to answer their questions, whether it is about immunization. In the immunization, they keep asking, is it Covishield better or Covaxin is better? Now Sputnik has come and again confused the picture. Oh, I should have waited for Sputnik. All these are things which generally what happens is people spread it on the media, especially from the WhatsApp university. There is a lot of misinformation, and this is what is causing so much of confusion in the people's minds. So some people have been waiting for the Covaxin when they could take Covishield. Now they're getting Covishield, not Covaxin. The same thing will happen to Sputnik. When Sputnik, oh, I should have taken that. But whatever vaccine you have taken, that Dr. Praveen is going to explain that each vaccine has its different methods, it's a different way, and your antibody build-up is what matters. So these are some of the things. And why do you want to stay at home? Do you want to stay at home or you want to go out? If there are people with comorbid conditions at home, you do not need to be at home. You want to go and isolate yourself either in a hotel or like we are trying to get the club also to give its rooms for our members. So these are things that are going to be addressed in this webinar. And I'm so happy and proud that Dental College has taken the initiative in doing this. They've got so much more lined up because I just got a phone call in the afternoon about another webinar on the 27th. So this is what is required, educating the public. And I'm sure all those who are the medical and non-medical personnel, I'm sure this is going to be very, very useful to you all. And I thank the organizers once again. And I wish good luck to Dr. Praveen for and we're hoping for a wonderful lecture. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we start off with the official or formal session, I request Dr. Sushma to introduce Dr. Praveen Kulkarni, the resource faculty for today's webinar.
Good evening all. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Praveen Kulkarni. He's working as Associate Professor in the Department of Community Medicine and Public Health at Jesus Medical College, Jesus Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysore. He's a Fellow of Foundation for Advancements in International Medical Education and Research, FAMER, and alumni of Leadership and Management Program offered by INCLAN Trust and International Institute of Health Management Research, New Delhi. He has also undergone advanced course in medical education by St. John's Medical College, Bengaluru. He conducts regular workshops on research methodology and biostatistics, medical humanities, faculty development programs in education technologies within and outside the institution. He has received several research grants from the Government of India, ICMR, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He has been recipient of Young Scientist Award from Karnataka Association of Community Health. He is also received a Best Research Reviewer Award from Association for Physicians of India, Karnataka chapter, Best Teacher Award from Jesus AHAR, Best Teacher Award Clinical from Jesus College of Physiotherapy, Elite Gold Medal in NPTEL course on Health Research Fundamentals. He is an Associate Director of International Journal of Health and Allied Sciences and editorial board member of Journal of Medicine and for RGHS National Journal of Public Health. He has more than 75 publications in various national and international journals. We welcome you, sir. And sir is going to address about the COVID-19 vaccination and home isolation tips and tricks with his expertise. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sushma, for introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank Jesus Dental College for giving me an opportunity to speak. And also I'd like to thank Dr. P.A. Kushalappa sir, my mentor. My always smiling face is going to inspire thousands, an infectious smile. So thank you very much, sir, for your words of appreciation. And I would like to thank Dr. Chandrasekhar sir, and also the principal of JSS Dental College. JSS Dental College is always my second home. So any event that takes place in JSS Dental College that involves one part of me, either as a part of medical education now newly into the COVID-19 vaccines. So without waiting anymore, we will start our today's session. So let me share my screen. Please let me know whether the screen is visible or not.
Yeah,
is my screen visible? Yes, yes. So thank you very much, sir. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the COVID-19 vaccine before and few tips for home isolation and quarantine to some extent. So this entire session is planned in such a way that first I am going to talk about the vaccine, then we'll be discussing about few myths and misconceptions people have on the COVID-19 vaccine, which Kushalappa sir was very aptly mentioning. We get so many calls every day, whether I can take the vaccine, whether I'm eligible to take the vaccine. If I take the vaccine, what is going to happen? Do I need to take a particular drug before taking vaccine? Or I'm taking this particular drug, whether the vaccine is going to act on me or not? Many things are there. So we need to really check whether these things are, whether these are myths and misconceptions, and also we will try to burst it out. And second part of my presentation will be on few guidelines for home isolation. Before I begin, I would also like to welcome Professor and Head of the Department of Community Medicine, Dr. Narayan Murthy sir. He has joined the session. Welcome to you, sir. And also I'd like to thank him for giving his valuable inputs for making this presentation more useful. So first we will discuss about COVID-19 vaccines. There are multiple vaccines, but initially I want to talk about these two vaccines which are made available in India through emergency use authorization by the Government of India. That is Covishield and Covaxin. And also I would like to highlight few points related to the Sputnik V, which has recently come into picture and which is expected to play a major role in the days to come. So this is how the vaccine development timeline that took place over a period of time. I would like to call it as unprecedented. We never saw, I think sir will also agree with me, Dr. Ravindra sir is also going to agree with me, and lot of vaccines have come into the pipeline, lot of vaccines are available now. None of the vaccines have seen such a tremendous fast timeline. We saw COVID-19 in December 2019 in Wuhan state of China, and then it became a pandemic. In January 2020, Chinese researchers revealed the draft genome of the virus, and later on, the series of vaccine development strategies started. First COVID-19 vaccine clinical trial began in the month of March 2020. And Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which is now in India called as Covishield, the original vaccine trials have started in United Kingdom in the month of May 2020. And later, over a period of time in India, we started AstraZeneca phase 2 in the month of August 2020, and Bharat Biotech started its phase 2 in September 2020. And over a period of time, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine has started recruitment quite faster, and most of the part of clinical trial got over. The second dose, majority of the people received second dose of vaccine by 31st of October 2020. And the results, interim results on safety and efficacy started coming out. New Pfizer vaccine and Moderna that have been trialed in United States and UK, they said their safety and efficacy through the interim analysis to be very high. And this has really given a ray of hope to all of us that yes, COVID-19 vaccines are going to really act. And later, started in the end of 2020, in December, few emergency use authorizations for COVID-19 vaccines started in US, and India has given the emergency use authorization for two vaccines, which is Covishield and Covaxin on 3rd of January 2021. Covaxin and Covishield. And over a period of time, the vaccination drive has started. A lot of people started receiving vaccine. There were myths spread, misconceptions spread. In spite of all those things, a lot of people came forward to take vaccine. And as Kushalappa sir aptly mentioned now, we have a lot of people now want to take vaccine, but vaccine is little available. But it is just a matter of few days. The vaccine will be available and we will all take the vaccine so that we are at least protected from severe disease as well as mortality. So if you look at COVID-19 vaccine tracker across the country, there are 118 vaccine candidates which are at various stages of clinical trial. And 339 trials have been undertaken. So you may ask, there are 118 vaccine candidates and how can be 339 trials? So each vaccine can have multiple trials across different parts of the world. For example, if you take Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, it has its trial in UK and it has its trial in US, it has its trial in India, South Africa, Brazil. So multiple countries will have different trials. And as on today, around 15 vaccines which have already got approved and they're in use at different parts of the world. And they are Russian vaccines, Chinese vaccines. We have some vaccines coming from India, and there are some vaccines from Australia, US, UK. There are many vaccines which are already available. So one important thing that all of us should learn about how actually these vaccines act. There are many non-medical individuals have joined into the webinar. I'll not go into the technicalities. If you look at the entire panel that I have posted here, there are few vaccines which are going to act as a protein subunit vaccines. They take a subunit of a protein of a particular virus, and that is replicated and that is put in, that is given to the individuals who are receiving the vaccine. There is going to be a replication of that protein and there is going to be immunity. And there are some virus-like particles, we call them as virions, that are injected. And these are, few of the vaccines which are not very commonly available. There are vaccines called DNA vaccines. For example, Oxford AstraZeneca is a DNA-based vaccine. And there are some RNA-based vaccines. For example, Pfizer, Moderna, they are mRNA-based vaccines. And there is something called non-replicating viral vector vaccines, which is something called a killed vaccine. The spike-like protein of that particular virus, what we call as COVID-19 virus, is incorporated into the viral vector. Commonly used viral vectors are chimpanzee adenovirus or human adenovirus. So these are the viruses which are very mild in nature. So they extract these viruses and they incorporate the viral spike-like protein into it, and that will be sent to the cell, human body. And what happens is, in human body, the virus enters into this particular spike-like protein, enters into the cells, and there is going to be antibody production. So this is how the non-replicating viral vectors will act. And there are some replicating viral vectors, we call them as live attenuated vaccines, which are also available. So at least keep in mind, all vaccines are not same, which Dr. Kushalappa sir was making a mention. No, I have taken one vaccine at first dose. I will go for second vaccine for the second dose. That will not happen, because the reason for showing this particular slide is each vaccine is not same, and each one of them are going to act in a different way, and each one of them have got a different mechanism of action, different level of efficacy, and different level of effectiveness. That is the reason all the vaccines are not same, and there is a different mechanism of action for all these vaccines. Now let us come to the emergency use approval. What is this emergency use approval? Emergency use approval is given only when the vaccine trials are still going on and the vaccine is found to be efficacious in phase 2 and part of phase 3, and then the vaccine is made available for the people who are at risk of developing a particular disease. Covishield and Covaxin vaccine trials were on. Usually what happens is, once a vaccine trial, all phases are done, at least 3 phases are done, then the vaccines are brought to the market. And phase 4 is called as a post-marketing trial. And what is done is, after all the phases of vaccine trial gets over, we submit the dossier to the Government of India, the DCGI, Drug Controller General of India. They evaluate this entire dossier of data, and then they say whether this vaccine is opt to be entered into the market, whether we have to give the approval to this. This is a regular practice with all the vaccines. But in case of COVID-19 vaccines, we did not wait for the entire trial to get over and then give the approval. Considering the safety of the vaccine, considering the immunogenicity, ability of vaccine to generate the antibodies, the vaccine has been made available for the people who are at risk of development of COVID-19 infection. And that is the reason it is called as emergency use authorization. You may ask me, is it the only vaccine given by emergency use authorization? No. Initially, we had a vaccine for Ebola. We had a vaccine for anthrax that was made available by emergency use authorization. There are many vaccines for that matter, but as we are seeing, it's becoming more and more relevant in the current context, we are talking more about it. And on 12th of April, one more vaccine came into the market, that is Sputnik, which is now made available in few parts of the country, especially I think in Karnataka, we have Sputnik being given in Bangalore, limited doses, but I think Sputnik is also considered to be an equally efficacious or effective vaccine. So if you look at how many people are vaccinated in the country, I don't want to talk about number of cases. When initial webinars on COVID-19, we used to speak, these many number of cases have taken place, these many deaths have occurred. So media is so vibrant nowadays. Every half an hour, they are going to give you a remark. Any person who dies in hospital with COVID-19, before the relatives get to know, the news is published in the media. So I don't want to talk about number of cases and number of deaths. I want to talk more about the total number of individuals who received the vaccine. We have huge number of people who have received the vaccine in the country. Almost 18 crore individuals have received the vaccine. Either it could be Covishield or Covaxin. I'm not dividing it based on the first dose or second dose. At least 18 crore individuals in the country have received at least one dose of vaccine. Now let us come to these vaccines in detail. What are these vaccines? Covaxin, I will talk about indigenously developed vaccine first, that is Covaxin. Covaxin was developed by the Bharat Biotech and ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, and National Institute of Virology, Pune. It is a whole virion vaccine. The entire virus is replicated, it's sequenced, and it is being given. And it is given as 2 doses, that is intramuscular, 4 to 6 weeks apart. I want to give clarification on Covaxin. Covishield vaccination second dose schedule has been repeatedly changed. Initially it was 28 days, then it was made 6 weeks. Now it has been made 90 days or whatever, 12 weeks. But Covaxin second dose is fixed between 4 and 6 weeks. And it is usually stored in the temperature of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. And phase 3 has shown around 75% efficacy. I want to tell you what is efficacy for the people who want to understand from the non-medical point of view. So we have efficacy of any vaccine is measured in 2 terms. Number one, among total number of individuals who received vaccine, for this particular period of time, how many did not develop active COVID disease? And second way is to identify out of these many individuals who received vaccine, how many have developed antibodies for fighting against that particular virus. We call them as virus neutralizing antibodies. So these are 2 ways in which we assess the efficacy of a vaccine. So Covaxin is found to be around 75% efficacious. It means that out of 100 individuals who are given this particular vaccine, 75 have shown some amount of antibody titers in their blood following the second dose of the vaccination. And it is considered as effective against multiple strains of COVID-19 vaccine. Coming to the second vaccine, which is very widely available in the country, to a larger extent, which is called Covishield, which is same as Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which was basically developed by Oxford University. AstraZeneca is a company, pharma company. They came together and they conducted several trials across the world, and they considered the vaccine to be safer and efficacious. Serum Institute of India is an institute that is situated in Pune. They took license from the Oxford AstraZeneca and they manufactured Covishield vaccine in a large quantity in the country. And it is not only given to the people in country, it has been in our country, it has been given to the people in other countries also. Original Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is approved in almost 141 countries in the world. And Covishield has been approved in more than 45 countries in the world where the vaccine has been sent from India. So we give Covishield as 2 doses, which is almost, now they say it should be 6 weeks apart, 12 weeks apart. Initially it was 6 weeks. After you take first dose of Covishield vaccine, you can wait until 12 weeks to receive the second dose of vaccine. I will come to the reason why this 12 weeks, 6 weeks and all. So that is a science in itself. And it is stored in the temperature of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, and it is found to be efficacious to the extent of 76% after 2 doses. Coming to the Sputnik V, getting a lot of calls nowadays. From last 3 days, a lot of calls on Sputnik. Sputnik has become available. Do we take this vaccine? How safe is it? How efficacious it is? A lot of questions come. Do I really need to take the Sputnik vaccine or wait for Covishield or Covaxin portals to open so that we can take those vaccines? A lot of questions. Sputnik is a heterologous recombinant adenovirus vector vaccine, like we have the Covishield, and it is developed by Russia. And in India, Reddy's lab from Hyderabad has taken its patent, and they are manufacturing in few parts of the country also. In some some parts of Karnataka also, in one of the center, they are starting the manufacturing of Sputnik vaccine. And phase 3 trials have shown 91% efficacy. Okay, so again, it is an interim analysis of the results and final results. None of these trials are completed. All these are ongoing trials, including Covishield, Covaxin, or Sputnik V. All these are ongoing trials. Okay, so these are all interim results findings, and it can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius in dry form. And once it is reconstituted in liquid form, it should be stored at minus 18 degrees Celsius. Okay, and it should be given 2 doses. Please remember the difference is Sputnik has to be given, the second dose of Sputnik has to be given 3 weeks after the first dose. So I am repeating the second dose schedules. Covishield can be given after 12 weeks. Second dose of Covishield can be given after 12 weeks. Second dose of Covaxin should be given from 4 to 6 weeks. Second dose of Sputnik has to be given after 3 weeks, of the first dose of vaccine. Around 67 countries have given emergency authorization for this vaccine. Initially, a lot of media propaganda took place against Sputnik V, and lot of scare, kind of a fear that has been created. But over a period of time, Sputnik found to be quite effective in prevention of COVID-19. I have been a part of listening to all phases of Sputnik from day it has been trialed in Russia till we did the trial in our center. So a lot of questions on its credibility, but I can say it is quite effective. And a lighter form of Sputnik came into picture called Sputnik Light. It is a single dose vaccine. Okay, it can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Efficacy with 1 dose has shown around 79%, and it is developed as a temporary solution. It is So it is developed as a temporary solution. They say it is a temporary solution because over a period of time, so once a vaccine becomes widely available, we advise people to go for both the doses of vaccine. So another very important component that comes is a contraindications. Who should not take this vaccine? One important contraindication is if you have any allergic reactions to previous COVID-19 vaccines. I took first dose of COVID-19 vaccine today, and I developed severe anaphylactic reaction. Like I have severe breathlessness, bronchospasm, and I have been retrieved with atropine and adrenaline, and I'm given steroids. Okay, fine. So you better don't go for the second dose of vaccine. And when we are giving to the naive people, they do not know whether they have previous dose. The first dose, people come and they say, can I take the vaccine? That time, this history will not be very relevant. In that context, we ask the question whether you are allergic to any of the vaccines. For example, if you take tetanus toxoid, if you take any other influenza vaccines, is there any adverse event, anaphylaxis for those particular vaccines? If it is not, then it is advisable. Few people with food allergy ask, I have been allergic to penicillin. Yes, you can take. Few people ask about penicillin allergy. I am allergic to penicillin. This vaccine. Yes, we can advise people. Again, quite tricky. That is pregnancy and lactation. Pregnancy and lactation. None of the vaccine trials have included pregnancy and lactation. It could be Covishield, Covaxin, Sputnik, Novavax, CanSino, Moderna, Pfizer. None of the trials have included pregnant and lactating women, which is a rule. And that is the reason we do not have any adequate information to say their vaccine has to be given to the pregnant and lactating women or not. At least women who are exclusively breastfeeding for 6 months, please avoid all these vaccines. And later on, we can think of FIGO that is Federation of Gynecologists and Obstetricians, they have come out with their position statement that this vaccine can be safely given to the pregnant and lactating women. But the government of India, as on today, has not given any permission for COVID-19 vaccination for pregnant and lactating women. Coming to some other contraindications, which we usually get the question. I have been infected with COVID-19 and can I take the vaccine? COVID-19 infection is not a contraindication to take the vaccine. But one important thing that you should have at least completed 4 to 8 weeks of non-infection, 4 to 8 weeks of recovery from COVID-19 infection. You can take the vaccine. Now the government is saying 6 months. If a person is infected with COVID, he need not be vaccinated for 6 months. And now I just now got a message that it has been extended to 9 months. Let us see. So it is not a contraindication, but actively infected. When I am having COVID infection now, I am PCR positive, I am tested 2 days before. Can I take the vaccine now? No, you should not take the vaccine. Okay, there should be recovery. After you are recovered from COVID-19, then you can go for the vaccination. And another important thing is, SARS-CoV, people have taken monoclonal antibodies or plasma, convalescent plasma. One of the postgraduate called me from one of the departments in the college. Sir, I had been COVID-19 infected. I received plasma. Can I take vaccine? So he should wait for at least 4 weeks after receiving the plasma. Then they can go for the vaccination. It is not a contraindication. Coming to acutely unwell, people will say, I'm having fever today, body ache, then sore throat, running nose, eyes are red. Do I take the vaccine today? So it is not. Any acute illness is a contraindication to take the vaccine until that acute illness subsides. If you look at the effect of the vaccination, so Subuk, am I audible?
Yeah, Praveen, you are audible. Continue.
Yeah. There is no problem with my voice, right? Okay.
No.
Yeah. So am I too fast or do you want me to reduce the speed?
It's fine, sir. No problem.
Yeah, going on well. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So when we gave vaccine to large number of people in the country, Covaxin was given to almost 1.1 million people, around 11 million people. Covishield has been given to large number of people. When the vaccine is given, it is very interesting. Chandrasekhar sir was telling me at beginning, people who take vaccine still develop COVID-19. Yes, they can develop. If you look at the data that has been released by ICMR on 12th of April 2021, they say out of large number of people who receive vaccine, very few developed infection. And even if they develop the infection will not be very severe. The vaccine will prevent two important things. Number one, it is going to prevent the infection to the lungs. Severe illness is prevented. Number two, the vaccine is going to prevent the frequency of hospitalization. Number three, the vaccine is going to prevent the mortality related to the COVID-19. These are the three important things the vaccine is going to prevent. If you ask me the question, if I take the vaccine, I'm 100% safe. No, you may develop infection, but infection is not going to be severe. The chances of hospitalization comes down, as you see in this particular slide. I'm not going to read the numbers, but the death severity as well as the frequency of hospitalization will definitely come down if you receive the vaccine. A lot of people ask about adverse events. You tell me how many of us vaccinate our children for Pentavac? And all of us know that if my child is vaccinated for DPT today, it is going to develop fever tonight. And it is going to cry. And do we avoid vaccinating the children? We definitely vaccinate. And if it is there with the children, it is same with us. There are no serious adverse events reported for any of these vaccines anywhere. The adverse events I have listed here, they're all very common adverse events. We usually tell to the people before giving the vaccine. Once you receive the vaccine, there may be fever, there may be body ache, there may be headache, there will be fatigability, there will be malaise, and there will be arthralgia, what we call a joint pain, and there may be some sort of nausea. It is same with Covishield, it is same with Covaxin, and it is same with any other. I want to make two important points here. related to Covishield. Covishield had been blamed initially that it causes serious neurological deficits. And the trial was halted. In United Kingdom, the trial was halted. In India also, we halted the trial. And in US also, the trial was halted. And the trial was halted until it was proved that the neurological deficits are not directly related to the vaccine. I'll tell you how cautious we were when we were doing the trial. When Covishield vaccine trial was going on, in Oxford AstraZeneca revoked the vaccine trial in UK in 1 or 2 days after it was stopped. But we took almost 24 days to revoke the trial. Entire data was studied, dissected into bits and pieces, and then the trial was started in the country. So it is not like anything happens and we compromise the life of people. No, it is not. So neurological deficit reported, but there is no cause-effect relationship between COVID-19 vaccine, that is Covishield, and the neurological deficits. And blood clots are being reported, and I'll come to blood clots a bit later. And Covaxin doesn't have much serious adverse events. Coming to the myths and misconceptions, the first and most important myth and misconception is COVID-19 vaccine is not safe because it has been developed so quickly. I faced this question almost more than 1,000 times. They take years together to develop the vaccine, and you develop vaccine in 3 months and you say it is good. No. Whatever procedure that had to be followed in developing vaccine for 30 years, all those procedures are meticulously followed when the COVID-19 vaccines were made available in the country. We have witnessed tremendous support and energy, enthusiasm from the government officials. We used to get the mails at 2 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock at night related to the approvals, funding, sanction orders. So day in and day out, the activities have been taken place. No need to worry. All procedures are meticulously followed, monitored, and evaluated by the third party before these vaccines have been made available. This is another very common question that flew a lot into the medical doctors' WhatsApp groups. COVID-19 alters my DNA. It makes changes in my, DNA structure, and it is going to hamper my cell replication. So it is not. None of the vaccines can cause DNA damage, and they're all replication deficient, and the virus doesn't replicate into the body. COVID-19 vaccine induce infertility in people. So again, there is no relationship that has been found anywhere in the world that COVID-19 causes infertility. And there was some kind of a message that was being spread in the COVID-19 vaccine. They put the tracker, and wherever we are going to be tracked. So it is, all these are quite a common misconceptions that we faced a lot. And COVID-19, I got a call from one of the participants that he took one of the person who received the vaccine somewhere in some neighboring district to Mysore. He took the vaccine and next day he was positive. There is a blame that I took vaccine yesterday and I became positive today. The vaccine has caused COVID-19 in me. When we tell 100 times a vaccine is a killed vaccine, which will not replicate, the virus will not replicate into the body, there is no point in saying that the vaccine can induce COVID-19 infection in you. So COVID-19 vaccine will never induce COVID-19 infection. Another misconception was, I will never develop COVID-19 after I take the vaccine, which is wrong. So still there are people who receive the vaccine and develop COVID-19. As I told them, severity of illness is going to be low. And please remember, after taking the vaccine, following COVID appropriate behaviors is very, very important. Wearing the mask, maintaining physical distancing, and then washing the hands, using the hand sanitizers, all these are mandatory after you receive the vaccine. I was previously infected with COVID-19, so there is no need of taking vaccine now because I already have plenty of antibodies in my body, which is again not true. We do not know how long, if you are naturally infected with COVID-19, we don't know how long those antibodies are going to persist in the body. Taking vaccine is very important. I'm currently COVID-19 positive. I have already addressed this issue. So we should wait until the symptoms subside. Now they say 4 weeks, and now they're saying 8 weeks, 6 months, whatever government says. All these guidelines are repeatedly changed. So don't worry for it. So we can definitely take the vaccine if you are after we come out of the disease. I'm suffering from non-communicable diseases. For example, I have hypertension, I have diabetes, I have stroke. Can I take the vaccine? These are the vaccines which are going to be safer, because people with hypertension, diabetes, coronary heart diseases, they are at more risk of mortality, death related to COVID-19. So you need to take the vaccine when you are actually on having non-communicable diseases. But always take an expert opinion based on medications you receive. There is, we have to assess your profile of what medications you are receiving, what is your coagulation profile, bleeding, clotting, all those things we need to really check, and then we need to give you the vaccine. Everyone who received the vaccine develops adverse event. This is another misconception. It is not everyone. Almost on the pain at injection site was found in around 60% of participants. Say 60% of people who received the vaccine. Remaining, pain can happen anywhere, even if you are pricked when you are cutting vegetable in the kitchen, and if you prick your hand, there is, you cut your hand, there is going to be pain, and you are injecting. It is not, most of the adverse events are not there in everyone. There are few people who develop adverse events, and those adverse events are expected. We tell that these are the adverse events, and once the adverse events are there, for example, fever, myalgia, and body ache, headache, abdominal, sometimes nausea, arthalgia, myalgia, for these people we ask them to take paracetamol. Paracetamol 650 mg is a drug of choice for these adverse events. But do not take paracetamol and go to vaccination. Paracetamol has to be taken only if you develop adverse event. And next important thing is, large number of people develop COVID, blood clot following COVID-19 vaccination, especially Covishield. It is not. I'll tell you with the data from the Government of India. Government of India, day before yesterday, released a complete statement on this blood clot. Out of 6.7 crore people who received Covishield vaccine, 26 have developed some sort of blood clot, either blood clot or thrombocytopenia, we call as low platelet. 26, which is equivalent to 0.6 incidence of 0.6 per 1 million doses of vaccine administration. If you compare this data with that in United States and Germany, I will tell you, in Germany, 4 out of every 1 million doses have developed this blood clotting adverse event. And if you check at Germany, there are 6 out of every million doses have developed blood clot. In India, it is to the extent of 0.6. Please thank God for making us less susceptible for bleeding and clotting disorders. We are less susceptible compared to other races. And that is the one which is protecting us from developing clots. And please remember, it's very meager, very rare, but after you receive the vaccine, if you develop breathlessness, if you develop severe headache, chest stiffness, pain in the joints, any, purpura, what we call as the bleeding spots anywhere in the body, immediately go and show to the doctor. Majority of the mortalities and morbidities can be easily prevented. Another misconception was, this was a very important misconception. People did not come for vaccination initially saying that if I take the vaccine, I need to avoid alcohol. And it is a matter of relief for the people who really consume alcohol, that alcohol is not there is nothing like you should avoid alcohol consumption following vaccination. We ask the people to avoid binge alcohol consumption. Buckets together drinking has to be avoided. Don't drink too much. And none of the studies across the world have proved anywhere if you take alcohol following the vaccination, there can be changes in antibody titers. But there are few instances we told specifically to the people who have, who are severely addicted to the alcohol and alcohol dependent individuals, we asked them to stop alcohol consumption for some days. This was basically to check for the adverse events in them. But now there are no major, if you look at the Government of India guidelines, or if you look at the WHO guidelines or any other guidelines, there are no, this is not a point that has to be stopped. I've taken 1 dose of vaccine, that is enough. I got a lot of calls. I took 1 dose of vaccine, that's fine. I don't want to go to the hospital again. Now, a lot of cases. Initially, when dose of vaccine was given, number of cases in India were very less. We started the vaccination drives in January and February. So that time, number of cases were less. A lot of people came to hospital, took the vaccine. And now they're seeing in the media, a lot of cases of COVID-19 are coming. So I don't want to come to the hospital. I don't want to risk my life. So please remember, taking 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine is highly essential. In first dose of COVID-19 vaccine, the body will get sensitized. There is something called as COVID-19 virus. After giving the first dose, we are introducing virus to the body. And the body is going to develop kind of a defense mechanism. And when we give the second dose of vaccine, then only the antibody titers will emerge. So taking only 1 dose of vaccine is not sufficient. And next important thing is, I have developed COVID after first dose. I took COVID-19 vaccine and then I developed COVID-19 infection. Now, what is the use of COVID-19 vaccine? It is not at all required, which is wrong. After you take first dose of COVID-19 vaccine, if you develop COVID-19, wait for the symptoms to recover. Now they say 4 weeks, and after 4 weeks, you can go and take the second dose of vaccine. My antibody, this is another common problem. I think Chandrasekhar sir will agree with me. A lot of people came and told they got vaccine and they went to the private labs and they got antibodies tested to check whether they are really protected or not. And they came and showed, so my antibody reports are negative. What vaccine did you give? I just want to remind you one particular thing. When you take the vaccine, there is a time required for antibodies to develop. That is number 1. And if you go and test before that, the results are going to be negative. That is the first point that every one of us should remember. And second important thing is that antibody tests that are done in the local labs may be different from antibody that is given to you through the vaccine. I have given spike-like protein antigen to you, and your body would have developed spike-like protein antibodies, and you test other IgG, IgM, and it may show very meager result or may be absent. So do not trust much on that. The specific antigen that has been given antibodies against, that has to be checked. And very few labs in India are going to do that. Okay, please do not get nervous. Do not get disheartened that you do not have antibodies. The body will remember. The body has got adequate mechanism to remember. There is something called as T cell immunity. They have something called as cell-mediated immunity, T cells, B cells. Many are there. They are going to remember the virus and they know their job to be done. And when they have to do their job, they will do it. I took first dose Covaxin. Can I take second dose Covishield? Which is again not correct. And it is as it is a CoWIN portal, which is actually handling the vaccine. So it will not allow you to take the vaccine at all. But now once a vaccine comes to the open market, please do not interchange the vaccine, because each vaccine have got different mechanism of action. And what is the duration of protection of after taking the vaccine? How long am I protected? The desirable principle is that around 6 months to 1 year is a protection that is offered. But as all the vaccines are in trial phase, we cannot give a very categorical explanation how long it is protected. At least 6 months you can take, but after that, please wait for the data to come up. A lot of trials are in the fag end, and we expect results very soon, and we will definitely communicate to you when exactly you need to take the booster dose and how long the vaccination is going to protect you. So these are a few things I wanted to share about the vaccine, and we will move to the second part of the presentation, that is home isolation, and then I will take the questions at the end. So what do you say, Chandrasekhar sir? Do we go to the second part and then have the question answer session, or we will finish off vaccine related questions now?
We'll finish the entire presentation and then we'll take all the questions at the end. This is what I feel.
That seems to be, yeah, that seems to be very reasonable for me. So we will finish off the presentation. I have hardly another 6 or 7 slides to complete my talk. Then we can go for the question answer sessions. Ask as many questions you want. We will try to answer them. Yeah. Home isolation, as Dr. Chandrasekhar sir was telling, home isolation is a rule now, because 90% of people who are infected with COVID, they do not need institutional care. We need to treat them at home itself. Okay, so that is the reason what all things to be followed in home isolation. I'm going to talk to you in next 10 to 15 minutes, then we can go for questions. Who is eligible for home isolation? Home isolation can be done for people who are asymptomatic, that who do not show symptoms of COVID-19 infection. And second is those who are having mild cases, mild features or symptoms, like upper respiratory infection features like fever, running nose, sore throat, headache. These are few people who do not have the infection of the lung. Their oxygen saturation is more than 95%. Okay, they say 94 at the government definition, but when we come to more specifics, it is 95%. It is less than or equal to 94%. You can just consider 95 is considered to be adequate. These are the people who require home isolation. Number one, who are asymptomatic, who do not show any specific symptoms of COVID-19, and those who are having mild infection. So coming to more specific criteria, patient should be clinically assigned as mild or asymptomatic by the doctor. You cannot decide yourself, I am mild infected, let me stay at home. No, it is not. Who should decide you are having mild or asymptomatic? It should be done by the doctor, a treating physician. Then only you will be allowed to stay at home and do home isolation procedures. And at their home, they should have requisite facilities for self-isolation. I stay in 2-room house. There is only hall and kitchen. And there are 4 more individuals in my home. Is home isolation desirable? No, home isolation is not desirable for you. There should be one specific space for self-isolation. And only in that condition, you can go for self-isolation. In other cases, we have COVID care centers. We have, as Kushalappa sir was making a mention, some of the NGOs and clubs are coming forward to establish isolation centers. And the government is also establishing isolation centers at the rural areas and all. So they can go there. Home isolation is advisable only when there is adequate infrastructure. And more importantly, there should be at least one caregiver 24/7 available to take care of people who are home isolated. And this particular caregiver should have a communication link with the treating doctor. And everything will undergo under a medical supervision. Even if you are there at home, it doesn't mean that you are detached from the entire world and you are fully isolated. It is not. You are going to be in contact with the treating medical facility all the time. And that communication channel should always be available. Patients with immune compromised status like HIV, those who are on those who have received the transplant, for example, the renal transplant has been done, those who are on cancer chemotherapy, they are not recommended for home isolation. And people with comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, so these people can be given home isolation unless their status is, their health status is good. And the treating physician says that their parameters, the vitals are normal and they can be at home. But there should be a very good facility to transport them to the hospital at the earliest if any of their symptoms deteriorate. What are the instructions? My home isolation instructions are one for the patients and one for the caregivers. What instructions a patient should follow? Number one, as I told, isolate yourself in a room where no other person is going to enter. Be away from elders and be away from elders with comorbidities. Second, the patient open the door, open the windows so that there is going to be adequate ventilation inside. So at least a cross ventilation has to be allowed. Okay. And please don't think too much that if I open the window, the virus will escape from the windows and goes outside. Okay, fine. The travel distance of the virus is quite low. I think you can still manage opening your windows. Patient at all times use mask. Mask has to be used all time. Triple layer mask or N95 mask. If some person, caregiver, if they enter into the room, both caregiver as well as the patient should wear the mask. You ask me, when sleeping, do I need to wear the mask? If you get the sleep, definitely you can use, but while sleeping, you can avoid using the mask. And please tell the caregiver over phone or something that I am sleeping, I am not using mask. And if you want to enter into my room, please ring me up or please knock the door so that by the time you enter inside, I am going to put my mask. And more importantly, this mask which you are wearing should be disinfected with 1% sodium hypochlorite solution, which is available in the market. Take adequate rest. That is the only job during isolation. Don't watch too much of Facebook, WhatsApp, media, news channels. Aram se for 14 days or 10 days, whenever you are home isolated, enjoy that particular period with rest. And drink a lot of fluids. Fluids in the sense non-alcoholic beverages. Drink the fluids like fruit juices, water, tender coconut water, take them plenty, and do not share the personal items with anyone else. Personal items include mobile phone, any personal item you can think of, clothes, bed linens, bed sheets, anything. Follow respiratory etiquette all the time, etiquette. Now, when you are coughing or sneezing, use the handkerchief or use the elbow so that the particles, the respiratory particles will not come out. Frequent hand washing with soap and water for at least 40 seconds is mandatory. And clean the hands with alcohol-based hand sanitizers. And when your hands are visibly dirty, alcohol-based hand sanitizers are of no use. Wash them properly, then use the alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Ensure cleaning of surfaces like tabletops, doorknobs, handles with 1% hypochlorite solution. And think positively. That is the most important. A lot of psychiatrists, a lot of people who are working on psychology, they say a lot of people with COVID-19 die because they get tensed up, stressed up. That is the reason most of people deteriorate. Please do not be anxious. And remember, everyone with COVID-19 will not die. And the mortality rate in India is quite low. Still with huge second wave, the mortality rate in India is quite low compared to the other Western countries. And you need to monitor the pulse, oxygen saturation using pulse oximeter. And there are ways how the pulse oximeter has to be used. Before using the pulse oximeter, wash your hands thoroughly, use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. If you have nail polish or artificial nails, remove them, then insert your finger into the pulse oximeter, especially the middle finger has to be inserted. And before that, you ensure that the numbers appear. Start the pulse oximeter, check whether the numbers are appearing or it is showing E or error. If it is showing error, the battery might have got exhausted or there is some problem with the machine. And once you ensure all that, insert your finger, wait for some time and then check the pulse oximeter readings. There are many pulse oximeters which are available in the market. Select the ones looking at the ratings, and few relay from Omron and few important companies like Apollo is releasing its pulse oximeter. Take the pulse oximeter which is proper, and then using the correct method of pulse oximeter is very, very important. After you do that, disinfect it using alcohol-based hand sanitizer and keep it aside. Okay, and immediately do not give it to anyone unless you clean it properly. Apart from oxygen saturation measurement, measure your body temperature and keep a record of your temperature, symptoms. This is a small chart I have tried to give you from the Government of India. This is a monitoring chart for home isolation people. And every 4th hourly, we need to check our symptoms. The temperature, heart rate, SpO2, and how are we feeling, and whether there is any breathlessness or something. So keep a watch on it, make a chart, and whoever is treating you, call them once a day at least. Whenever we treat the people, we especially ask them to give a call twice a day, morning and evening, and check whether there is any deterioration of symptoms. And this one is a very interesting concept called self-proning, and this will actually reduce the oxygen requirement through the artificial or something. So what you do is lying on the belly using a pillow for 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes go for left lateral position, then after 30 minutes go for right lateral position, and after 30 minutes go for incline. So one important thing about this is you are not going to be stationary or at one position all the time. Frequently changing the position will change the inflation capacity of the lungs, and there is going to be better oxygen absorption. So this is a reason we ask people to go for self-proning, and it has been found to be quite effective. And what instructions are to the caregivers? Use mask all the time, which is very important. It is not only to the caregivers, it is for every one of us. Use either a triple layer mask or a N95 mask or a surgical mask, which is mandatory. After wearing the mask, don't touch the front portion of the mask repeatedly. The moment you touch the front portion of the mask, especially people who wear the spectacles, there will be fogging to the glasses. And if we repeatedly, put the clip here, press the clip, that is the one which creates a lot of problem. If the virus is there, that will usually come and sit on the surface. And the moment you touch it, clean the hand with soap and water, or you can use hand sanitizers. If the mask gets wet or dirty, change it. And discard the mask after use and perform hand hygiene. Do not discard in the dustbin. Put it in, one specific dustbin has to be done only for this with alcohol, hypochlorite. There you can, put your mask. And you should avoid touching face, nose and mouth with bare hands. I've seen crazy way of using the mask. Mask is torn, same mask is used. And loose mask. Mask will be drooping down using the same kind of, these are all not very useful techniques. And wearing mask under nose, the nose will be out. Almost 60% of people on the bikes on the road, they will be having this kind of a mask wearing, pattern. And do not remove the mask where there are other people within 1 meter. It's a very common thing we see. I'll be wearing mask all the time. When my friend comes to my cabin to talk, I will remove the mask and talk. Then what is the use of wearing the mask? Okay. And do not use a mask that is difficult to breathe tough. Putting too much of tight, not required. And more importantly, when you put the mask, once you breathe in and breathe out, the mask has to inflate and deflate. Okay, so this is a sign that the mask has properly fit into your face. And do not share your mask with everyone. We see in houses, all the masks are hang together at one hanger, and when husband is going out, uses one mask, same mask is being used by the wife and she is going out. Please do not use it. And this method, this kind of a technique, which was not there in WHO template, I have inserted it here. This is common thing that I'm seeing every day in and day out in Mysore. A lot of people put face shield and they do not put the mask, which is as good as not wearing anything. If you wear the face shield, put the mask also. Then only you are completely protected. Regularly wash the hand with soap and water for 40 seconds, which I've already told. And hand hygiene is very, very important in prevention of COVID-19 infection. And perform hand hygiene before and after you use the gloves. And when you are exposed, when you are getting exposed, to a person who is having COVID-19 at the home, avoid direct contact with the body fluids, wear the gloves and the respiratory infection secretions. Use disposable gloves when you are handling the patient. You may be, just putting the patient from prone to supine position, or when you are just changing the position of the patient, or you are giving some food to him. Please do not take any chance. Avoid exposure to the potential contaminated items in the environment, like sharing the cigarettes, eating utensils. Please keep them aside for some time and make it sure that the patient doesn't feel discriminated, and give them adequate space. Explain them you are having the condition and we need to use them only for you. And after you recover from illness, I'm not going to throw all these things out. I'm going to clean them again and we can all use later. Okay. And food must be provided in the same room where the patient is being treated, and the utensils and dishes used by patients should be cleaned with soap and detergent water, wearing the gloves. Okay. And utensils and dishes may be reused. You are not going to throw them out. Clean hands after taking off the gloves or handling such kind of items. Use the mask all the time. And other tips are vitamin C and zinc tablet has to be taken by everyone. Ivermectin 12 mg twice a week is being found as a prophylactic medication for COVID-19 if there are any patients in the home, that you can take with only the advice from the doctors. And hydroxychloroquine, I'm mentioning it here because the government guidelines recommend it. But before taking hydroxychloroquine, please consult your doctor. Anyways, it is not available over the counter. You definitely need the prescription, but you need to tell all your health conditions to the doctor before you go for hydroxychloroquine administration. Proper sleep, rest, good food is very, very essential when anyone, either yourself or anyone in your family, are infected. Keep a close watch on the symptoms of your own. Regularly monitor body temperature, oxygen saturation of all the family members. Treatment during home isolation. I am not going to give any prescription, any medications to you in this particular presentation. I am not listing ivermectin, doxycycline, azithromycin, anything that is to be taken. Please consult your doctor when you take the medications. Do not buy the over-the-counter medications and start it. If you are doing it, you are harming yourself in two ways. Number one, you are allowing your health condition to deteriorate. And second, you are unknowingly and knowingly spreading the infection to others. Okay, so please consult the doctor and then take the medications of any sort. And whenever you are having comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes or something, infected with COVID, continue the medication with consultation from the doctor. Do not make any decisions on the medications by your own. When to seek medical attention, this is very important. Dr. Chandrasekhar has repeatedly told me to tell this. Number one, when you are at home isolation, you are feeling difficulty in breathing, your oxygen saturation is dropping down on more than one occasions, less than 95%. It is around 94% mentioned there in the government guideline. If it drops below 95%, immediately consult the doctor. Persistent chest pain and pressure in the chest and having cough, expectoration, so please consult your doctor. And if you are having mental confusion, inability to arouse, these are 4 important things. Please remember these 4 things when you are at home isolation. When to discontinue home isolation? Number 1, when patient under home isolation will stand discharged from home isolation after 10 days have passed from the onset of symptoms. At least 10 days home isolation is required. And fever for more than 3 days if the fever has discontinued. There is no need to go for retesting for COVID-19. Initially, it was 7 days of home isolation for asymptomatic patients, but now it has been extended to 10 days. And if you are having symptoms, at least 10 days from the onset of symptoms, you should stay at home with all the precautions which I have already told. And finally, these are the take-home messages from my end for everyone. Wear the mask properly, maintain social distancing, wash hands frequently with soap and water, use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Whenever you are coughing and sneezing, use your elbow, follow the cough etiquettes. And if you have any features of COVID-19 before you are tested, stay isolated at home. You give the swab until the reports come, isolate yourself. You are, unless proved otherwise, COVID-19 positive. And then after that, please take care of your health properly. And most importantly, take take the vaccine, which is very important. That is the only savior for all of us. And I would like to again play some records. My sincere thanks to Dr. Narayan Murthy for giving all, whatever mis and misconception I was talking to you, that was his idea. Please talk on these lines. Even though I knew I did not put it, but he brought that point. So I tried to be more elaborate on that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, COVID-19 management is not only one person's. Now the plan point is blaming everyone, people. COVID-19 prevention is collective responsibility of the entire world. All of us have to take the responsibility. The minister cannot come and put the mask on our face. It is we have to do it. And the person who is responsible cannot come and put hand sanitizer on my hand. That I have to do. So all these are our responsibilities. And there is momentary problem with the vaccine availability. Government is definitely working to manufacture a large amount of vaccine, which will come very soon. If you get vaccinated, if you have any problems, please consult the doctor. You can consult us also at any point in time, and we are there to help you. All together, with hand washing, social distancing, mask and vaccination, let us, kill this virus corona and let us stop this pandemic. I would like to thank the authorities of JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, JSS Dental College, Kushalappa sir for being patiently listening to me, and Ravindra sir, and all of you for your patient listening. And again, sorry for interruption in between because of bad internet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. It was really a good session where we understood so many things, and many questions which are typed in the question and answer have already been addressed by you, but still, shall we take some questions?
Definitely, sir. No problem.
So, Kushalappa sir, would you like to add anything, sir, here, or
yeah, no, before you go to the questions, I'd just like to add on an end note.
Yes.
It was a wonderful lecture by Dr. Praveen, and what I'd like to give a take-home message for everyone is, there was a pandemic in 1918, which is now being widely reported, and people did not have the television, they did not have WhatsApp, they did not have the media. They could just read a newspaper at that time. But what they did was, this pandemic was defeated. The second year it became less, and it just the second wave came, and still people died. I accept all that because the medical facilities weren't so much at that time. But what they did was, they were wearing masks, and they were having the social distancing. From many of the photographs which you see from that age, you can see that there was a lot of the masks, wearing the mask, and social distancing and care of the hands was done at that time, according to the history books. And that probably is the thing which defeated the virus, because there was no vaccine available. Like Dr. Praveen said, the vaccine came in just 1 year. The vaccine was prepared, which is stupendous. Where vaccines take from 5 to 15 years to develop. The studies were done in a hurry, everything was done, and people have shown the response to the vaccine. But then, like Dr. Praveen rightly mentioned in the last slide, those 4 umbrellas which are protecting you is the one which you have to worry about. Wearing the mask, social distancing, and hand washing, and of course, the vaccination. Thank you so much, Chandru. Please take the questions.
Yes, sir. Dr. Praveen, actually, Kushalappa sir has answered this question, like how long it may take for a vaccine to be developed in a conventional manner. Because all these are permitted for emergency usage now. Permission is given on emergency basis, but the question is, normally, conventionally, if there is no emergency, how long it will take for a vaccine to be developed? Kushalappa sir has already answered.
Kushalappa sir has already answered. I think we will just go ahead with the next questions.
Next, is the vaccine efficient in fighting the mutant variants of this virus? Whatever the vaccines we have.
Yeah, this is a very, very good question. Very good question. I would love to answer this question.
Yeah.
So any mutation that take place in virus, these vaccines are designed in such a way that vaccine is going to protect, the vaccine is against a spike-like protein of the virus. And if the mutation occurs at spike-like protein, the virus becomes ineffective. And if mutation occurs at any other proteins of the virus, this vaccine is going to be effective. Am I making sense? The vaccine is, there is a key, there's a lock and there is a key. We developed antibody for the key itself. And anywhere, anything that happens, if this key is only broken, how the virus is going to act? So any vaccine that is available now, you tell Moderna, Pfizer, Oxford, Covishield, Covaxin, all these vaccines are manufactured keeping spike-like protein in mind. And if the mutation occurs as spike-like protein, the virus becomes ineffective. And if the mutation occurs anywhere else on that particular virus, this vaccine will be effective. It is as simple as that. Most of the vaccines are protective against any mutations that have happened in past or that may happen in future.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. Next question. There are a lot of questions. Shall I take all the questions? Do you have the time to answer them?
No, I don't have any problems that you can ask. As much as I know, I can definitely.
Chandru, the main relevant ones you can take, Chandru. Many questions may have been repeated. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sir. See, so many questions are there, Praveen. They are all related to how long the effectiveness of this vaccine may go on. Do you have any current evidence saying like when should be the booster given?
No, sir. We do not have.
So
No,
as of,
all are ongoing trials, including Moderna, Pfizer, Oxford, all are ongoing trials. We do not have adequate evidence for that. But if we get the evidence, that will be definitely made available in the public, public domain. But as of now, what we have understood over last 6 months of people who received the vaccines are at least efficacious to the period of 6 months. And we need to really wait until all the titers and all the results of the clinical trials come out, then we will definitely communicate to the people. As of now, we do not have idea about the longevity of the vaccine efficacy.
so the take-home message is whatever the government has given the guideline of 2 doses of vaccine, people should take it and they should feel as if they are completely immunized for this as of now.
As of now, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there is a question. When the CT scan shows the lung has got involved in atypical viral pneumonia, can this be cured at home? Can this cause any problem in future?
No. It should not be treated. If the lungs are infected, we need to check the oxygen saturation. And this patient, when the lungs are infected with the CT scan, this patient needs institutional care and support. The treating doctor has to definitely take a call on this, and it should be left to the discretion of the physician who is managing this particular patient. We cannot definitely take a call on home isolation by just looking at this particular history of the patient.
Yeah, many questions are there about these comparison of vaccines, whether Covishield, Covaxin, Sputnik, or whatever. So the best answer is whatever that is available in your place, please take that. Don't delay it.
Yeah, all the vaccines, it could be Covishield, Covaxin, or it could be, Sputnik. All of them have got desirable efficacy or effectiveness. So what is desirable effectiveness? Let me answer this question. If the vaccine if the vaccine has 50% effectiveness against prevention of COVID-19 infection, it is considered to be desirable. So all these vaccines are 71%, 75%, 80%, 91% till that. So it means all these vaccines are having comparable prevention, efficacy. That is the reason any vaccine that is available and which is being offered to you by government or private organizations, please take that vaccine. That is more important.
Yeah, one person has asked a question. They're probably, I don't know whether they've already taken this or what. If I take first dose of Covishield and second dose of Covaxin, will there be any side effect in the body? I don't know whether they've already done it or they are...
there won't be any effect. That is a problem. As we have to take the same dose second. So that will not be, there is not going to be front effect only, side effect, forget it off. Effectiveness of that vaccine is definitely going to be questionable. I got one question on WhatsApp. Dr. Anil Kumar Gujari sir has asked this particular question. One of the healthcare professional has taken first dose of COVID vaccine and now working in the COVID wards. Is it advisable now? Is that particular person protected? First dose of vaccine gives protection to the extent of 60%. And second dose is going to increase the antibody response to the extent of around 75%. At least the first dose of vaccine, there is some sort of protection, not fully. With all the standard precautions and PPE kits and all COVID appropriate behavior, the person can work in COVID, can do the COVID related activity. And as soon as possible, once he or she becomes eligible for second dose of vaccination, please, without delay, vaccinate them, because healthcare professionals are more at risk of developing COVID-19 infection and the disease. We cannot ignore their vaccination status.
Yeah, that previous question was asked by Nikhil. If he's still listening, I would like to say that in the current circumstances, all the vaccinations are done through CoWIN portal only. So when you have taken the first dose through CoWIN portal, that is Covishield, you will not be able to take the second dose, that is Covaxin. Later on, suppose if CoWIN portal is not used, if the immunization is done without using the CoWIN portal, that may become a probability, but that is also not advisable. If you have already got it done, I don't know how you have got it done.
Officially, unofficially, there are many ways of getting it. We should not tell it now. There are many. We need to have one-to-one counseling.
Yeah, that will be better. You can talk to any of the experts here by calling them personally. The next, the question is, if the patient was COVID positive and was cured, then received vaccination after 6 months, is he still susceptible of getting the infection again?
It is as same as any other person, infected, not infected. Any person who takes a vaccine, second dose vaccine, the same sort of susceptibility, like any other person in the general population. Subbarao sir wants to know about 2DG, sir. I do not want to talk about it because I am still having, we really need some more data to really talk about it. Later, I need to read about the trial data of that particular drug. Let me talk to you in person maybe later about 2DG.
Yeah, a question is there, like they say people are getting false positive result, and also there are no symptoms found. And in that case, what precautions they should take? The report has said them positive, but they do not have symptoms.
We cannot declare it as false positive. How do we declare it as false positive? There should be asymptomatic COVID-19 positive patients. We cannot, if we do not have symptom, if the test comes positive, we cannot straight away label it as false positive. It could, day before yesterday, I got a call from one of the person. They were planning to go to some other place, some pilgrimage, or I don't know which temple is open now. They wanted to go there, and before going there, they wanted to get their RT-PCR done. Both husband and wife have received both the doses of vaccine, and husband is freely walking around, and he came positive. And she called me up and asked, lab doesn't give correct reports. I told, we cannot suspect the lab at all point in time. He may be asymptomatic positive. So asymptomatic positive, isolate yourself for 10 days. And whatever precautions I told, follow all of them. And then get back if there are any problems.
What in case if it is other way? A report has come negative, but the patient has all the symptoms.
We have to redo, it is called as syndromic management. Okay, if the report has come negative and the patient has got all the features of COVID-19 as suspected by the doctor, and clinician declares the patient is having COVID-19, symptoms suggestive of COVID-19, he should receive complete treatment as on protocol. Okay, yeah. So we cannot take risk on. It's called syndromic case management.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. There is a question from Jaishankar sir. Covishield, Covaxin first and second jab is same, but Sputnik V first and second dosage have different vector. Why?
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting question. Thank you very much, Jaishankar sir. Some of the vaccines are given in parts. Okay, so in Covishield and Covaxin, Covaxin is a whole virion vaccine completely put together and recombinated, and it is given as one particular dose. And Covishield also, it is an adenovirus vector. We are not parting it. But Sputnik, there are two parts of the virus that are given at different stages. Considering that, if we give both the parts together, there can be more severe adverse events. That is the reason, first we sensitize the body for one part of the virion, and later on, in the second dose, we give another part of the virion so that we are not going to have serious adverse events. Basically to prevent adverse events, and to some extent, they say that it improves the immunogenicity also.
Yeah. Praveen, next question. Arsenic album 30, a homeopathic drug being suggested to people around as a prophylactic to the virus. What are your thoughts on it?
I have no thoughts, sir. I do not want to touch this question.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this question. It was an eye-opener for me, but I do not want to talk about any alternative system of medicine, considering my specialty to be allopathic.
Yeah, Subbarao sir has asked this question, which is the best diagnostic method for COVID-19? Is it RT-PCR or CT scan?
RT-PCR is a gold standard for diagnosis of COVID-19. And CT scan is an additional diagnostic tool. And if you suspect with COVID, RT-PCR, CT scan is going to tell the progression of disease, severity of infection. But to say severe, the disease has to be there. RT-PCR is a gold standard and first line, investigation for COVID-19.
Yeah.
Thank you, Subbarao sir, for asking this.
The previous question, Praveen, what I asked, like what in case if the chest findings, CT findings are there and report comes negative? This question was asked because it was asked by one of the patients. Their RT-PCR report was negative, but the CT of the chest showed like almost like pneumonia,
Yes.
infection, moderate to severe infection. So in that case, they underwent treatment as if they are COVID positive only, and later on recovered.
Yeah, because we have to go for syndromic. Ultimately, it is at the end of the day the clinician discretion. The clinician has to decide what type of infection it is, and they have to receive the complete care. And one more important thing is there are many points where we can get the false positive reports. For example, the way the swab is collected, the storage and the processing. There are many things. Let us not go into those intricacies, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the life of the patient has to be saved. The discretion has to be the clinicians.
Yeah, we have the privilege of Narayan Murthy sir also there as a panelist. Sir, suppose if you can take any of these questions, you can take, sir. If you could answer any of these. If you want to add on anything, you can, sir. See, Mahima madam.
Dr. Praveen has already mentioned, has answered most of the questions, I think. So
Yes.
only thing related to the where they were asking about the Covaxin or Covishield, whether to get both. But our intention is mainly all the people, all the citizens of India, where they should get the vaccination. So better not to go for the two types and all. So our intention is mainly to all the citizens where they should get the vaccine. That is our, that's all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks.
Sir, another 2-3 questions shall I take, sir?
Sure.
So many are there, but people completely vaccinated need not wear masks. Is the recent directive by probably which is seen in America? What do you say for Indian
No, I
country?
think already Praveen has mentioned.
He's already
it all
answered.
depends upon the immunity status also, because where we say that at least the herd immunity where we need about 80%. So only till that time, better to all the people where they should wear the mask, where we have to depend upon the coverage of the vaccination.
We followed their genes and other things from the end PISA. Let's not follow the mask. Let's wear the mask.
Praveen,
Yes, sir.
there's a question from one of the faculties, Dr. Paras. How much
Yes.
anti-SARS-CoV-2 spike protein IgG is good against spike protein? After vaccination with 2 doses, probably, I got the test done. He might have got a test done. The results indicate 247 positive. AU by ml. What does it mean? That is
He
what
has
he's asking.
sufficient antibody titers. It all depends on the kits. If you use Kavach kit from the government, from ICMR, the cutoff is 0.2. and there are many other kits available from the different manufacturers, and it would be mentioned on the kit that on the kit itself that what is a positive antibody titer. Okay, so based on whatever kits you are going to use and the cutoff that is going to be mentioned on that particular kit, if you have more antibody titers than that, it means that you already have antibody and you are to some extent protected. So it all depends on the type of kits that are available. And second is to what extent, what is the cutoff that particular kit mentions on it.
Next question, what is the use of perfusion index, PI, in oximeter related to COVID patient is the question.
The perfusion index is going to tell about to what extent oxygen saturation is taking place in the body. If the perfusion index is, if the perfusion index is coming down, it means that the adequate amount of oxygen exchange is not taking place between red cells and the cells in alveoli. So that is a matter of concern. So we need to go to the doctor. Please let us not talk too much about it. At least SpO2 reading, if we can take, I think that should be more than enough. If SpO2 is less than 95%, we have to go and consult a doctor for the future treatment.
Should the toothbrush and tongue cleaner be changed following recovery of COVID-19?
It is good if we change it. There is nothing wrong. Definitely, please change it. There is no problem. There is no direct recommendation from CDC or WHO or something. And if we change, definitely good. It's very good. Change it.
So there's a question on what is desaturation.
Desaturation is nothing but there is some amount, red cells, RBCs will be carrying hemoglobin, and oxygen is going to bind with this hemoglobin. We call it as saturated hemoglobin, which is same as our red blood, the red color of blood when you take from the artery, which is having oxygen saturation. The hemoglobin in the blood has bind with oxygen, so there is going to be a saturated oxygen. This hemoglobin will go to the different cells and it releases oxygen and it becomes desaturated. And then when again it comes to the lungs, takes up oxygen and again becomes resaturated. This desaturation of oxygen take place for all the RBCs in the body, 4.5 million per ml or something. So it is a continuous process. If this desaturation becomes more, it means that there is no adequate exchange of oxygen taking place between red blood cells and the regular cells, and we go for desaturation or deoxygenated status. All the features of low SpO2 will come into picture. Anything else you want to add, sir? Kushalappa sir or Narayan Murthy sir for this?
No, you said it well.
I still remember my physiology, 2002.
Yeah, Praveen, I think you've already answered this question. Suppose if a person becomes positive, now the government says don't go for repeat RT-PCR after the acute symptoms have subsided. The question is how long they should wait before they themselves feel like they are COVID negative before start interacting with other members in the family.
1 week, 10 days.
10 days.
And best is to go for 1 incubation period, 14 days.
Yeah. Then regarding lactating women and all, you have already answered. It is no as of now. Dimer test levels, its significance is the question asked.
So I think we will not go into the clinical management of COVID, sir. I think you are planning to have one more session with the clinical management. Let us not talk about dimer.
We'll answer those questions later. Actually, we are planning to have another webinar on black fungus or mucormycosis and oral manifestations of this and what are the guidelines for management of oral manifestations, probably in the subsequent week. And thank you so much. And one final question. I have this question, like suppose if somebody has taken the second dose of the vaccine without knowing that they are positive for COVID-19. First dose they have taken and their planned second dose for schedule. They have taken the second dose, but they have given for RT-PCR 3 days before, but the report has come after they have taken the second dose, but the report is positive now. Without knowing that they are in active disease, they have taken the second dose.
Just watch yourself. That's all. Nothing can be done. So if you are positive, we do not know swab has been given and you received the second dose of vaccine, neither a person administering the vaccine nor the person who is taking the vaccine is not aware of what is the COVID positivity status. Taken the vaccine, it is as same as anyone who is a COVID positive patient. Watch the person's vitals, oxygen saturation, and symptom profile. Give the treatment. There is no problem related to that. So people who are COVID positive, unknowingly, if we vaccinate, there is no problem.
See,
we need to just keep a watch on their symptom profile.
The symptoms have been subsided. They have undergone treatment for COVID-19. All the symptoms have subsided. The question is, should they take the any other booster dose because they have taken the second dose during the active disease phase?
No need.
Yeah.
No need, sir. No. It acts as second dose only. There is no need to take the booster.
Yeah, I think I've covered most of the questions which are there in question and answer. I asked Dr. Tippeswamy, have you noticed any other important question which I have missed?
Only these questions, sir.
Yeah. For curiosity, Praveen, I just asked.
I just add one small
Yes.
advice for you all. You're having the next session. You said try to see whether you can cover the legal issues from COVID, especially the vaccination and the insurance covering.
Okay, sir.
If anything can be, you can touch up on that in the next session. So some of the questions, these are some of the doubts which some people have.
Okay, sir. We'll look into that. Praveen, last question as in curiosity, is there any progress on extending this vaccine trial for children 12 to 18 in either Covishield or Covaxin?
Covaxin has already received approval for starting the trial for children between 2 and 18 years of age. They will be starting their recruitment very soon. They have identified the sites and they're starting the recruitment very soon. This is related to Covaxin. Covishield, we do not have any idea as of now, but at least one vaccine will come to children. It's Covaxin, maybe after the rigorous trial that takes place.
Yeah, thank you. I think I've covered most of the questions. And Ravindra sir, would you like to give your remarks or anything, sir, now? Kushalapa sir, shall I ask for vote of thanks, sir, in case of...
Yeah, please go.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen, for this elaborate session. And formally, I request Dr. Sunita to present the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Placing my prayers to the lotus feet of Jagadguru Sri Shivratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji Garu, I hereby present before you a vote of thanks to all the eminent personalities present with us today. Foremost of all, the team of Public Health Dentistry would like to thank our respected Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Suresh sir, and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Surendra Singh sir, for their constant encouragement to hold these webinars. We would like to thank our registrar, JSSIHL, Dr. Manjunath B sir, and our ever supportive Dr. Kushalapa sir, Director Academics, for being with us today. We would like to thank Dr. Ravindra sir, Principal JSS DCH, for being with us today. Thank you, sir. We would also like to thank Dr. Praveen Kulkarni for accepting and delivering a worthwhile and informative presentation in our webinar. Thank you, Doctor. Last but not the least, and most important, we would like to thank all the participants who have logged in from distance and attended this virtual event, hoping this event was very much scientifically informative and beneficial to all of us. Thank you, one and all. And I would also like to place in Dr. Sumuk, who has been our technical support throughout in all our webinars. Thank you, one and all. Over to you, sir.
Thank you all. I place my sincere thanks to Dr. Narayan Murthy sir also. All of a sudden he was asked to come on the panelist list and he has answered some of the questions and shared his inputs. We thank you very much, sir. And you have been a big support throughout our COVID-19 immunization, which we undertook in dental college. And without your support, without your guidance, we wouldn't have completed the task. We thank you all for all the support what you extended. And whenever we have any doubts or anything to be asked regarding COVID-19, first point of contact will be either Praveen or Narayan Bhuti sir for me. They've
Thank you,
always
thank
been
you.
my guides. Thank you very much to all. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Like Dr. Sumuk has shared a link for feedback. If possible, please, all of you, I request all the participants to click on the link and give your feedback, and probably following the completion of feedback, you will get the certificate to get downloaded. Thank you all.
Thank you. Wonderfully done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.